a hit on dog head or whatnot, so 100,000 on dog head.
Drake just did what on stage? Fans are shook after last night's explosive show in Toronto, where the Six God himself stopped mid-performance to drop a bombshell about the ongoing legal nightmare with Kendrick Lamar and Trust Us. It wasn't just a casual mention. Cameras caught the exact moment Drake veered off script, looked straight into the crowd, and delivered a scathing message that's left fans wondering what's really going on behind the scenes. But that's not even the half of it. Right after that jaw-dropping moment, a leaked industry document started making rounds online. And let's just say, Drake may be trapped in one of the most humiliating record deals in modern music history. We're talking millions lost, total creative control gone, and whispers of betrayal from someone he once called family. Insiders say this might explain his erratic behavior lately. The cryptic posts, the deleted tweets, the awkward silence after Kendrick's diss tracks. And now, with legal threats flying, industry titans picking sides, and fans torn down the middle, one question is on everyone's lips. Is Drake finally cracking under the pressure? Stay tuned, because what we uncovered is wilder than anything you've heard before. The lights had barely dimmed at Drake's hometown concert in Toronto when fans knew something was different. The air buzzed with tension, and Drake, usually smooth and unbothered, walked on stage with a look that screamed something wasn't right. He barely greeted the crowd before launching into what should have been a regular set list, but by the second song, something snapped. Mid-performance, he paused, took off his in-ear monitor, and stared into the crowd like he was looking for someone specific. Then, the words dropped like a bomb. "You know what? Since everyone's talking lawsuits, let's talk truth tonight," he said into the mic, pacing the stage, voice tight with emotion. The crowd fell silent. It wasn't just a show anymore, it was a confession. For months, rumors had been swirling, cryptic social media posts, strange industry whispers, and of course, Kendrick Lamar's infamous diss track that not only called Drake out by name, but hinted at something far deeper than music beef. It mentioned contracts, secret phone calls, and something that sounded an awful lot like betrayal from inside Drake's own circle, but no one expected Drake to address it like this, in front of thousands of fans, live. "You think you know what this industry is?" Drake said, his voice shaking slightly. "You think beef is about bars? Nah, sometimes it's about who owns you." Those words echoed across the stadium, and instantly social media exploded. Fans scrambled to record the moment, while others stared in disbelief. Was he actually confirming what many had feared? That the feud with Kendrick wasn't just lyrical sparring, but the result of something much darker. What made it even more wild was what followed. Mere hours later, a leaked document surfaced online. It was posted by an anonymous user on a hip-hop message board, but within minutes, it was everywhere. The document appeared to be a confidential agreement dated back to 2009, the year Drake signed to Young Money. And if the document was real, it revealed a deal so lopsided it left fans in shock, according to the leak. Drake had signed a multi-tiered contract that gave away a shocking percentage of his masters and future royalties, not just to the label, but to 3 unnamed entities. The most jaw-dropping part: one of the names listed as a silent partner was allegedly connected to Kendrick's camp. It was like throwing gasoline on a burning fire. Fans were left divided. Some said Drake had no one to blame but himself for signing such a deal. Others claimed he had been manipulated as a young artist, desperate for a chance to blow up. But the most heated debates weren't online. They were happening behind closed doors. Insiders close to Drake's team say that leak triggered a total meltdown. "He felt humiliated," said one unnamed source from OVO. This wasn't just about a bad deal. This was about someone from his past making sure that deal never saw the light of day, and when it did, he saw it as betrayal. The betrayal wasn't just business. Sources say Drake believes the leak came from someone he once considered family, a former friend turned rival who had access to those old documents. Many fans suspect it's no coincidence that the document emerged just days after Kendrick's team won a key motion in the rumored lawsuit involving streaming rights. If that sounds messy, it gets worse. Because behind the scenes, there's been a quiet legal war brewing for nearly a year, one that both camps have denied publicly. But court documents filed under sealed names seem to connect the dots. Insiders allege that Drake has been fighting to regain control of his masters but was blocked by a clause in his original deal. A clause, according to some sources, that Kendrick's camp helped reinforce in a strategic move during a recent label merger. And that's where the story takes a sharp, emotional turn. According to people close to him, Drake has been spiraling privately. Friends say he's been unusually isolated, canceling meetings, ignoring calls, and withdrawing from his inner circle. He's not just angry, one longtime associate revealed, is heartbroken. This was someone he thought had his back. Nope. It feels like everyone was playing him all along. Wasn't just industry people noticing the shift? Drake's own father, Dennis Graham, reportedly confronted him about the stress in a tense phone call that was later leaked in part. Dennis can be heard telling Drake, "They're gonna eat you alive if you don't speak up." Sources say that was the final push that led to the Toronto stage confession, but not everyone in Drake's camp was happy about that decision. OVO co-founder Noah 40 Shabib reportedly tried to talk Drake out of saying anything publicly. The betrayal, if true, would be almost too much to believe. This was someone who had Drake's full trust. This was there before the fame, before the private jets and stadium tours. Someone who once said in an interview, "I'd take a bullet for that man." And now, according to the leak, may have been holding the metaphorical gun the entire time. Drake hasn't commented directly on the Oliver rumors, but fans have noticed the tension. They haven't been seen together in public in months. Their usual social media banter, gone. Insiders say Oliver skipped multiple meetings leading up to the Toronto show, something that never used to happen. And then, of course, there's the cryptic post Drake made just days before the concert. A black and white photo of himself alone in a studio, captioned, "Been surrounded, never protected." The timing, suspicious. It wasn't just Drake feeling the pressure. OVO as a brand started facing serious backlash. Fans flooded their merch store with refund requests. Brand partners reportedly started asking questions. And internally, sources say, panic set in. They thought the leak would blow over in a week, said someone inside the label. But now it's unraveling. The money's at risk. Reputations are collapsing. Everyone's turning on each other. And then, just when you thought it couldn't get more chaotic, Kendrick Lamar dropped another bomb. Not a diss track, not a tweet. Something even colder. A surprise guest verse on a random underground track. No promotion, no warning. Just Kendrick rapping in a chilling monotone. Dropping bars that felt like laser precision shots at Drake's inner circle. Paperwork passed under tables in silence per. Contracts folded like betrayal in violence. Loyalties. A lie when the checks hit compliance, your brother sold your soul. Now you're trapped in alliance. Fans instantly dissected every line. They believed this wasn't just a song, it was confirmation. Kendrick knew everything. He was watching the collapse from a distance, and he wasn't done twisting the knife. Drake's response? Nothing. Total silence. And that's when fans really started to worry. Those close to him say he was devastated. Not just by the attack, but by the silence from those he once called family. Sources say he held an emergency meeting with his legal team, its remaining management, and 2 trusted friends, Noah 40 Shabib and longtime security chief Chubbs. The topic, not damage control, something way bigger. He was ready to walk away from OVO. According to an insider who was present at that meeting, Drake said, "I built this brand. I gave it everything. But if the people around me were using me from the start, then maybe I was never part of it. Emotions ran high. 40 reportedly pushed back hard, begging Drake to reconsider. This isn't just business, man. This is your legacy. But Drake, described by those present as unrecognizably angry and hurt, didn't budge. The betrayal had cut too deep. Meanwhile, fans began noticing another strange development, a series of cryptic interactions between Kendrick and J. Cole on social media. It started with Cole liking a few old posts from Kendrick's label. Then, Kendrick reposted a video of Cole performing at a small venue. It wasn't much, but to fans, it meant only one thing. Sides were being chosen. Cole had famously tried to stay neutral in the Drake-Kendrick beef for years. Now, it seemed even he was distancing himself. And it made fans wonder who was still in Drake's corner. As it turns out, not many. Backstage after the Toronto show, Drake reportedly broke down. Not just out of anger, but exhaustion. For years, he'd held the image of the untouchable artist, the mogul, the man in control. But now, in front of his team, his bodyguard, and a few remaining friends, he finally admitted, "I don't know who to trust anymore." It was a vulnerable moment, the kind rarely seen from Drake. And it set the stage for the next chapter, a bold, risky move that could either save his legacy or destroy it completely. Because according to news sources, Drake has quietly begun building an escape plan. Not just from his record deal, but from everything: OVO, his management, his team. All of it. He's contacted independent legal experts, reached out to outside investors, and started mapping out what insiders are calling Operation Rebuild. A total rebrand, new label, new ownership, new era. But there's a problem. The clause in his original contract, the same one that ties his masters to a shadow investor, may also prevent him from releasing new music independently for another 2 years. And if that's true, Drake may be creatively frozen at the height of his career, unless he finds a loophole. And that's where things take a dangerous turn. Because, according to 2 separate sources, Drake is now considering a radical move that would risk everything. Not a lawsuit, not a business negotiation, a leak, an unauthorized release of unreleased music. An act that would be seen by labels and legal teams as a direct breach of contract. But one that, in the court of public opinion, might just spark the revolution he's counting on, his plan. Drop the music anonymously, through a shell label. No promo, no name, just music. Real music. And let the fans decide what happens next. But this strategy comes with a price. If he's caught, it could lead to millions in penalties, legal action, even a permanent ban from major streaming platforms. He's ready to risk it all, said one source. He doesn't care about the consequences anymore. He just wants out. And just as he was preparing to move forward, a new player entered the picture, one who might have the power to either save him or bury him for good. And that's where part 3 begins, with the sudden appearance of a legendary industry figure, a secret meeting overseas, and a dangerous alliance that could flip the entire game. Just days after the whispers of a secret leak plan began circulating among Drake's inner circle, he vanished from the public eye. No Instagram posts, no paparazzi sightings. Even his closest team members weren't sure where he went. But then, in the early morning hours, a grainy photo surfaced on a European gossip blog. Drake, wearing a hoodie and sunglasses, stepping out of a black car in Zurich, Switzerland. He wasn't alone. Beside him was a music mogul whose name hadn't been connected to this drama until now. Quincy Cross, the elusive billionaire founder of Blackstone Soundworks, known in the industry as the godfather of independent rights. Quincy had helped several artists regain ownership of their catalogs through backchannel deals and legal gymnastics. He's been out of the spotlight for years, refusing interviews and living mostly off the grid. So when fans saw him walking with Drake, everything changed. Was this the alliance Drake needed? Sources close to Quincy say the two met in private at a secluded estate just outside of Zurich for nearly 9 hours. No press, no cameras, just lawyers, coffee, and tension. And while nothing has been confirmed officially, insiders claim Drake asked Quincy one specific question: "Can you get me out of this?" Quincy's response, allegedly, "Only if you're ready to burn the whole house down." Back in Toronto, the tension was reaching a boiling point. OVO was in crisis mode. With rumors swirling that Drake was trying to go rogue, Oliver and the remaining executives called an emergency board meeting. What leaked from that meeting was shocking. Someone had evidence that Drake had already started uploading tracks to a shell distribution company registered in Trinidad and Tobago, according to anonymous leaks. The company, named No Maps Inc., had registered 6 unreleased songs, all under different aliases, but with metadata that pointed directly to Drake's recording studio in Calabasas. As more cracks in Drake's foundation appeared, allies began to fall away. One by one, artists who once stood with him began issuing neutral statements or unfollowing him altogether. Rumors swirled that label pressure was forcing them to choose sides. Even Rihanna, who's famously kept her distance from the industry drama, made a move that shook the internet. She posted a photo with the caption, "Own what's yours." Fans saw it as a thinly veiled statement of support for Kendrick's camp and independent artists everywhere. Inside Drake's circle, emotions were hitting a breaking point. 40, his most loyal producer, was reportedly torn. In private, he supported Drake's fight for freedom. But sources say he also feared the damage it was doing to their legacy. During a tense studio session, an insider claims 40 told Drake, "If you drop this music without protection, they'll bury you. Not just legally, they'll erase you." Drake, pacing the room, allegedly responded, "They already erased who I was. This is the only way I get him back." The him he was referring to. Fans believe he meant Aubrey, the kid from Toronto, for the chains, before the fame, for the billion-dollar machine took over. The plan was moving faster than anyone expected. By week's end, No Maps Inc. uploaded its first track, a lo-fi melodic rap song that featured layered vocals eerily similar to Drake's. No name, no photo, just a white screen and the title, Exit 13. Within hours, it had 2.3 million streams. By the next morning, 4 more songs appeared. Different titles, different styles, but all hinting at personal betrayal, isolation, and redemption. One track's hook repeated, "I signed my silence. Now I'm screaming loud." Paper cuts from contracts, ghosts inside the crowd. Fans knew, even though the label denied it, even though blogs called it conspiracy, everyone knew it was Drake. But then, Hammer dropped. OVO filed a lawsuit in an international court, naming the Trinidad-based label as a vehicle for contractual fraud. The language was aggressive, calling the leaks a deliberate act of sabotage intended to circumvent legal restrictions. Drake, though not named directly, was cited as the known party of interest. And just like that, the legal war became public. Kendrick's camp made their first official statement since the drama began, and it was as cold as fans expected. "We respect ownership. We respect contracts. We respect the game. If you play, don't cry when the rules aren't in your favor." Drake's team fired back with a single-line statement. "The truth doesn't need contracts to survive." The battle lines were drawn. Public opinion was divided. Some fans stood behind Drake, calling him a visionary artist breaking the chains of industry control. Others said he was just facing the consequences of a deal he signed, too hungry to read the fine print. Meanwhile, Quincy Cross remained silent. But insiders say he was already preparing a counterattack. A legal motion so rare it hadn't been used in 2 decades. A contract nullification petition based on predatory inducement. Successful, it would destroy the original agreement and grant Drake full control of his masters, but it wouldn't be easy. He'd need proof. Emails, recordings, witnesses who could testify that the original deal was made under manipulation, misrepresentation, or coercion. And that meant one thing: someone from inside Drake's original signing team had to flip. And just when hope seemed thin, someone did. An email leaked. Not just any email. It's a 2009 message from an executive at Young Money's parent label describing Drake as green unguarded and desperate to prove himself and suggesting they move forward with the clause before he gets lawyered up. The email hit the web like wildfire. Overnight, the tide began to shift. Fans demanded justice. Celebrities began tweeting support. Even former critics called for the music industry to be held accountable for years of exploiting young artists chasing dreams. But there was still one final piece missing: someone from the original team who would go public. Someone with the guts to admit they helped trap Drake in that deal. And no one expected who it would be. And that's where part 4 begins, with a shocking confession. A final betrayal, and a risky courtroom showdown that could change the industry forever. The confession came not from an enemy, but a ghost. From Drake's past, a former assistant A&R who had worked closely with Drake during the early stages of his Young Money signing posted a video on a now-deleted burner account. At first, no one believed it was real. The lighting was dark, the voice was shaky, and the face wasn't shown. But the words? The words changed everything. We knew he didn't understand the deal, the voice admitted. We watched him celebrate. Pop bottles, smile for photos. Meanwhile, the real paperwork was still being finalized behind his back. He trusted us. We told him it was standard. It wasn't. The video detailed how, in those early days, Drake had asked repeatedly about ownership, royalties, and long-term rights. But each time, he was reassured that everything would be cleaned up later. And when he pushed too hard, he was told to relax, that bringing in outside lawyers would slow things down and make him look ungrateful. It was manipulation, plain and simple. And now, years later, that video became the final puzzle. Piece Quincy Cross needed. With the email and the confession, he had just enough to file the predatory inducement motion. But as the legal wheels turned, the emotional weight of it all was crashing down around Drake. Behind closed doors, insiders say he was a wreck. Not because he was afraid of losing, but because he felt exposed in a way he never had before. Everything he built, every win, every accolade, every song that had taken over the charts, now haunted by the knowledge that he never really owned any of it. He reportedly broke down in front of his mother, Sanda. Sources close to the family say the moment was gut-wrenching. "I should have listened," he told her. "You said protect the art. I didn't protect it. I sold it." Sanda, who'd long been a silent force behind his career, was said to have simply held his hand and whispered, "Now take it back." Meanwhile, fans around the world were glued to every update. Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, the case was everywhere. Industry blogs dubbed it the Drake Clause. While some artists began publicly backing him, Chance the Rapper posted, "Too many of us signed our freedom away, praying Drake wins this one for all of us." But not everyone was cheering the label that held Drake's original masters. Still unnamed publicly due to pending court orders, began fighting dirty. They filed for emergency injunctions, tried to block the music leaks, and even attempted to subpoena Quincy Cross's entire legal team, calling them. That night, Drake went live on Instagram for the first time in months. No filters, no music. Just him, staring into the camera, tired, raw, vulnerable. "I wanted this to be about music," he began. But the truth is, they never let it be. About that from the jump. "I was a product I didn't know. I thought I was winning. But the truth is, they let me win just enough to keep me from asking questions." He paused, then said, "This isn't about me versus Kendrick. It's not about a lawsuit. It's about how easy it is to lose yourself in this business. And I think I did, but I'm trying to find me again." Fans flooded the comments with hearts, fire emojis, and messages of support. Others demanded he name names, expose the full truth, go scorched earth, but Drake just ended the live with one line. They built a cage, I'm building a key. As of now, the court decision is still pending. Drake hasn't released any official music since the leaks, though rumors swirl that he's been working on a fully independent double album. His rawest, most personal work yet, set to drop the day his contract legally expires. And what about Kendrick? He's gone silent again. No posts, no features, no shows. Insiders say he's watching, waiting, maybe preparing a final message of his own. Maybe walking away from it all. Fans are divided. Some say this saga has changed how they see their favorite artists forever. Others feel like pawns in a billionaire chess game. And yet, almost everyone agrees on one thing. This wasn't just rap beef. This was generational. This was about ownership, betrayal, power, and survival. And for now, all eyes are on Drake. Will he win back his masters? Will he rebuild his empire from scratch? Will he name the traitor in his camp? And will the industry ever let him be free? This story isn't over. But the silence between now and the verdict might just be louder than anything Drake's ever said on a mic. So now, after explosive revelations, leaked documents, emotional breakdowns, and courtroom chaos, one thing is clear: this isn't just about music anymore. It's about freedom, it's about truth, and it's about whether one of the biggest artists in the world can finally reclaim what was always his. Drake is standing at the edge of the industry that made him, and just might try to break him. Kendrick's silence, unsettling; the label's aggression, relentless. And with that 60-day countdown ticking, fans are holding their breath to see if the judge will grant Drake what so many other artists have never been allowed ownership of his legacy. Will he walk away clean? Or will the deal that launched his career also be the one that buries it? And more importantly, was this betrayal years in the making by someone he still hasn't named? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this story is far from over. And when that verdict drops, the industry might never be the same again. So now we want to hear from you. Do you think Drake was truly betrayed from the start? Should he have known what he was signing? Is Kendrick playing fair or playing dirty? And what would you do if you found out your whole career was built on a contract trap? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, no filter. And if you want to stay locked in as this story unfolds, make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update. Because when the verdict drops, we'll be right here, breaking it down, exposing the drama, and telling you what the headlines won't. You're watching the story that's shaking the music world to its core, and this is just the beginning.